everybody, welcome back to Adobe Live. It is Adobe Live on Tuesday, and I'm here with Ronnie Alley once again for day 2. Welcome back. If you were here yesterday, you know that Ronnie started his logo design for his rebranding of his brand, and we're going to continue on with that today. He's going to show you where he finished up with the logo, and then he's got some new cool things to show for today.
Yeah.
We're going to do some mobile stuff. We're going to do some design, InDesign maybe. And if you are new to the channel, or if you're new to watching this, check out behance.net/live. If you're on the YouTube side, you want to switch over to the Behance side, because that's where all the action happens. That's where the giveaways happen, and that's where the design challenge happens as well. So if you look at the tab where the comments are, there's one I believe that says challenge. Yep, I can see it right there. And that will explain how the challenge will work. So yesterday we had a ton of entries for the album cover, and a lot of great entries, as a matter of fact. It was hard to pick for me, at least. I know for both sets of entries that I managed. And today we're going to be doing it with InDesign. So you're going to use the template, which you can change in any way you want, but you're going to start with the template to create a magazine layout about design. So you're going to submit that using the InDesign Publish feature, which will allow you to publish it online, submit the URL, and then we'll take a look at those a little bit later on in the segment. But Ronnie, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
How was yesterday?
It was awesome. It was so much fun.
What'd you like best?
Everything.
Everything?
Yeah.
I love it when people say that. What'd you like best? Everything. All right, so welcome everyone in the chat. I see Graham, I see Darbaz, I see Mitch, Leona. Welcome everyone. Glad that you are back, and glad to see so many of you coming into the room as we speak. So, you want to show them what you did yesterday, or show them where you finished up?
Yeah, sure. So yesterday, let's go to. Oh, now my computer froze. But
there you go.
Yeah, started making a logo, which was. There was a whole bunch of contention about doing it like this, and the one before that looked like
designed by
this.
committee.
Yeah, and then eventually, after leaving and going back, working on it some more last night, I ended up going with something more like this. And then I had also created this kind of pattern texturing thing for the back of my business cards, which this was the first one that I showed yesterday, and then I made 2 more compositions of that, and then I think I'm pretty happy with it. I'm gonna build the rest of the system off of that.
All right, and again, you get the benefit of having the initials RAD. So Ronnie Alley, Ronnie
Alley Design.
Ronnie Alley Design. Okay, got it.
Yep. So.
Awesome. All right, so what's on tap for today?
I'm going to be making some patterns and shapes out of paper, and then capturing them with Adobe Capture, and then making a collage to use as either for promotional pieces, or like the back of a letterhead, or potentially the back of my business cards. But yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Let's get to it.
Should be fun. Okay, cool. I guess I'll start with... Do you want to switch to the GoPro?
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get it in position here around our beautiful whiteboard here that no one should ever have to use. We're gonna make you use it.
Yep. So, okay. So how are you usually...
Oh no, God, that looks horrible. Don't.
That's okay.
No, it's okay.
That's all right.
We just needed something to contrast against the black paper that he's gonna cut these shapes out with.
So what I usually do is I start by just drawing some like really abstract shapes.
Okay.
Doesn't really matter what they look like.
Show.
I feel like the weirder they go.
So you're drawing that with like a white pencil?
No, it's just a regular mechanical pencil.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't really see it, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's just a contrast. Okay.
Some weird shapes. Maybe get some more generic shapes like a square or a circle. Maybe a triangle. Let's get weirder. Let's do something like that. I try to fill up like 1 8.5 by 11. And then typically I use a scanner to scan these in. But now that I know about
They
Adobe
still make
Capture,
those?
Yeah. I use a
I'm
scanner all the time.
I'm kidding. Back in my day.
Like that. Okay, cool.
All right.
And then from there,
then you physically cut them out.
Yeah, physically cut them out. Might take a minute, but I'll get there.
Yeah, sorry about the condition of the foam core. It was literally like, oh no, we need something white to put this on, and we just looked around the room and found something that wasn't in the best shape, but it will work for what we need it for. It was literally a last minute thing, so sorry about that.
I feel like this might be.
So while he's cutting those out, let me explain what app he's going to actually be using. So if you were here yesterday, you saw it. But if you weren't here yesterday, there is a free mobile app from Adobe called Adobe Capture CC. So you can grab Capture CC from the iOS App Store or from the Google Play Store if you're on Android. It is a free download. It works better if you sign in with your Adobe ID, but you can even sign in with social media accounts, I believe now. And once you're signed in, whichever way you want, you can use it to physically capture things that you need for your design. So yesterday I showed how we could use it to capture colors for a color theme. And today we're going to use the shape feature, hopefully, to capture shapes like that one.
Yeah.
So that's why we needed the whiteboard last minute, because we have a black tablecloth with black shapes in it. Capture needs something to see. It needs some kind of contrast. So we're gonna use it to capture shapes like this.
And that.
And while he's cutting that out, let's see if I can fire up my capture to see if this is gonna work before we even continue along this process. All right, I'm gonna fire up capture here. And just let me get out of that. Get rid of this. All right. Let's go over to shapes. Set the plus sign. And I want to see if this will actually work. Let me move that over. Oh yeah, that should work fine.
Sweet.
Let me just grab one real quick. Yeah, definitely we want the whiteboard. It will help tremendously. All right, I can crop it down. Just doing a quick test here, just to experiment to make sure this is all gonna work. Smoothing on. That looks good. Save. Save. And if I head over to Illustrator, let me see if that will, I see it syncing. Syncing. Shapes, lots of shapes. And there it is. Oh, at least I had it a second ago. There it is. So that shape is the one I just captured using Capture CC. And it is a vector shape, so he will be able to go in and tweak it any way he wants. So this saves a lot of time from back in the day where you would have to scan it and then trace it. Capture's doing all that for you. So I'm gonna walk you through this process while he's cutting more of these out. Let me switch over to my phone where we were. That was the one I just captured as a test. Let me move that one over, move this one over, and we'll capture another one real quick so you can see how the process works. Ooh, that one's gonna be kind of tricky because it's not laying flat.
That's okay.
Bend
Well,
it a
maybe
little
it's
bit.
not.
Yeah, well, I just try not to get the shadow of it.
Oh, gotcha.
All right, that should work. Okay, so I got my trusty phone in hand. I'm gonna hit the plus sign at the bottom of the Capture app. That'll bring up the camera. And what I'm trying to do is eliminate that shadow, to get in real close on it, and just go ahead and hit the shutter button. So that captured it. And now I can go through, I'm gonna put the GoPro down for a second. I can go through the process of refining it. So you have brushes that you can zoom in and erase things or add back into it. So I'm on the eraser already, so I can just use my finger or stylus to erase the little edges that I don't want. I can also undo that because I cut in a little too much. There we go. I like that you can zoom this in really nicely and get close to the edge like that. And it looks like you can also use the paintbrush to fill in. There you go. So he will clean that up to his liking. Then I can go into the crop and say, you know, crop out areas that I don't need, so I can just get it in tighter and closer on the shape itself. Not that close. Maybe something like that. Get it closer on the sides. And narrow it down to just the shape itself. Then I can go to smooth, where there's a new option for capture, fairly new. We can turn smoothing on or off, where it's actually doing the vectorizing of it as we go. And then we'll just go ahead and hit save, and that will save it to whichever library you have. So you can create a new library on the spot if you didn't have one, but we're gonna call this affectionately Shape 2. And then we'll save it. And at that point, it is now syncing it to my Creative Cloud account. So I can actually see over here behind me, if I bring my library panel up, I'm kind of blocking it here. I'll bring my library panel over, and if I make it shorter, maybe I can't make it shorter. There we go. Pull it up from the bottom there. I can see the sync icon happening there, and oh, the second shape is already here. So at this point, sorry, I didn't mean to bury it in that one, but that's okay. Here is shape number 2. I can pull over shape number 2, scale it to whatever size I want, and that is a vector shape now. So you can go in and clean it up any way you want.
Yeah.
All right, so that's how Capture works. This is one of the things you can do with Capture. Of course, you can do lots of things with Capture in terms of capturing scenes and artwork around you so that you can use in your own designs. All right, here's one more thing I want to do though. I want to go to my colors, not my colors, my color themes. And so I can even use some of the color themes from the socks that I captured yesterday. So these were the colors on the actual Adobe socks. And I can use those for the vectors. All right, so you're ready to do your own capture at this point?
Yes, I am.
I've got my GoPro handy so we can see what you're doing.
Cool.
Now, I believe this is Ronnie's first use of capture.
Yeah.
So we're gonna switch over to his phone, Paco.
All right.
All right, so he's got the capture app loaded. And
I should do just one at a time.
you should do
right?
one at a time, yeah, because that way then there are individual shapes you can manipulate.
All right, okay. And then just click.
Yep.
Cool.
All right, what's it say there? I was just telling you what you can, yeah, telling you what you can do with the brush and the eraser.
Cool. No, crop it. When you did the smoothing thing, oh, it's right there.
Yep, yeah, so you're just basically walking through those tabs.
Mm-hmm.
So the refine lets you use the brush and the eraser to, you know, if you need pieces that you want to continue to work with. Crop lets you crop it to where you know, just the area you want.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Perfect.
Very cool. And then smooth, you can turn that on or off if you like it or not. You can try it either way. And then once you hit save, you can put it in your library.
Cool. All
And
right.
that will sync to your, hit allow, that'll sync to your Creative Cloud. Now, that last message he got was, it wanted access to his camera roll because it will save the photo to your camera roll so you can use it later in Capture for other things. So let's say these were in color, and you also wanted to use Capture to capture the colors of them. That's why it saves the photo to the camera roll, so you can bring it right back into Capture without having to take the picture again.
Oh, this is awesome.
Looks like you're mastering that very quickly. He's already on shape number 2.
Oop. How do I do that? Is there a way to make it? Oh, it's this one. Got it.
Yep. So you have an eraser. There are tools at the bottom. You have an eraser and a paintbrush to add in. Nice cropping.
Yeah.
His cropping skills are good.
Oh no, it crashed. That's okay. Just reopen it, I guess.
Uh-oh. Yep, it's still there. Sure. Yep, send the report so they can see why it crashed.
All right, what's next? This guy.
Now, see, with that one, it's kind of like bent a little, so it's tilted up, and if you're not careful, you'll get the shadow of it, which could be a good thing. That could be a good creative thing that you want or not. So if you don't want the shadow, you might want to flatten it down a little bit. Tiana, I'm glad you I'm glad you like the voice that I'm using today. Yeah, Larry, it is pretty cool. I love Capture. One of my favorite apps. And again, we're just using one aspect of it. Yesterday we used color. Today we're using shapes. It can capture patterns. It can capture type. Materials for Adobe Dimension, and brushes. You can actually make custom brushes for Photoshop, Illustrator, and Adobe Sketch using Capture.
That's awesome.
So if you wanted to turn one of these shapes into a brush, you could actually do that.
These are looking great. This is so much better than how I used to be doing
Scanning
it.
them in. All right. I'm gonna get in close there. It looks like we just got a budget approved to get a better whiteboard for future for future Capture demos.
Okay. We got 5.
Yep.
Halfway done. I'm loving it.
Here,
5 stars.
I'll assist you by moving that over there. Let's get that one. Let's get these in place so you can capture them separately. I'm interested to see what you're going to do with these once you got them.
Oh, it's fun. You'll see.
All right. And again, so just another tip. While you can use the eraser and brush, I would definitely use the eraser to get rid of erroneous like spots or shadows or things. But I'm not so much sure that I would fill in with the brush that often, because again, once this is a vector shape, you can use the paths and points to tweak it to your heart's content once it's in Illustrator. So I wouldn't spend a lot of time on the brush unless it's something obvious that needs to be filled in.
And I'm actually probably going to use Photoshop.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
stuff.
So even in Photoshop, you can paint it in the way you want.
Mm-hmm.
The app, Larry, is Adobe Capture CC. He's running it on iPhone, but it is available on Android as well. Okay.
All right, last one.
Now, one of the things that I'm just seeing some comments in the chat, there's another tip I can give you is that if you're trying to, the larger the item is that you're trying to capture, probably the better the results will be. If you're trying to capture very tiny details like 12-point type, it's probably not going to do a great job capturing it as a vector. Now it should do a great job identifying what font it is. So that's what the type feature is all about.
Oh, really?
But if it'll
That's awesome.
When I say identify the font, let me rephrase that.
Oh, I was
it
like,
will it will find the next closest font that it can find in Adobe Typekit to the font that you scan.
Oh, okay.
So in other words, if you're using some weird font that doesn't exist in Typekit, then it probably won't find it because it doesn't exist. All right. I think we're done with the GoPro. Is that you got them all?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool.
Yep.
I'll put that down, and we're gonna switch back to your computer. I'll switch back to the other computer. There we go.
So these are my libraries now?
They should be. Yep. If you twirl down graphics, nope.
Do I need to sync it somehow?
Hang on. Click. Are you on the Wi-Fi as well?
Oh, it says
You
it's
are.
disabled.
Enable the sync.
That might help.
That will help. I see the syncing going now. And here they come.
Cool.
So you can drag those over and use them any way you want.
Nice.
Now, in Photoshop, I'm interested to see how they're going to come over. I think they're going to come over as just pixels, but in
That's okay.
Illustrator they'll come over as vectors.
Yeah. I usually do these in Photoshop.
The action creates smart object. Okay.
Yeah. And so now I just try to make some weird composition, fill up the space nicely. I'll eventually change the color of all these, but it's like a whole building process, so you'll see.
So Daniel says, seems like a lot of extra work. Why didn't you just draw the shapes? Well, you did. You drew them by hand.
Mm-hmm. And I like having a hand-on aspect to stuff. It adds a different layer to things.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on your strength. So for me, for example, it would be faster for me to draw them in the computer because I don't draw by hand. But for him, it's probably faster to draw them by hand.
Yeah, I'm actually really not that great at
See,
the lines.
That's what I mean. We're
stuff.
the opposite.
Yeah.
So I'm not that good on paper.
This one's fun. I think these are the most crazy shapes I've used so far. All right, cool. That looks interesting enough. So now I'll go and grab my colors from Illustrator. Oh wait, that was already, I don't have to do that. I can do this, because I got these yesterday. Yeah. So I usually keep this layer hidden unless I'm needing to grab the colors. I'm sure there's a lot of other ways to do this too.
Well, yeah, we'll get into adding colors in the library as well, but as colors. But there are certainly other ways to do it.
Cool, so let's rasterize all these.
All right, so you just rasterize the layers?
Mm-hmm, yeah, because I'm going to change the colors of them now. So I use this lock transparency thing. It's like one of my favorite things. Yep. The day that I learned how to use that was the day that my life changed.
That's an interesting approach. So you're using, is that the shape tool? Like the rectangle shape?
Mm-hmm.
And you're filling it with locking the transparency.
Yep.
So, okay, all right.
Yeah, I feel like there's always a million
I was
ways
going
to
to say,
do
I would have done that
anything,
differently, but that's another interesting way to do it. Because now I'm wondering if you could do that as a vector. I'm just wondering. So I need to experiment with that to see what that would do.
I'm sure I could do this whole thing in Illustrator too still, but I don't know, I'm just a little bit more comfortable. Oop, didn't lock the transparency.
Didn't lock the transparency of the layer. Very cool.
Yeah. This is actually looking pretty sweet. Transparency.
Nice way to go.
Yeah, so once I have all the shapes colored, I'll look at it and be like, is this exactly how I want it to be?
Heidi likes her organic shapes.
Thanks, me too. Yeah, so I'll like look at the composition and I'm like, I'll need to change some things. So this green should probably be down here. Actually, I don't need those colors anymore. Or wait, yes I do. Let's change. Nope. Nope. See, I'm trying to use shortcuts and I'm not good at them, so I'll just not do that.
Do what works for you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like that better. Take this.
Slightly. Are you done with shapes?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Move our very expensive, custom whiteboard here. I'm just gonna move this over.
Oops, forgot a little bit So what I do next is I have another thing, which you tell me if Adobe Capture could do this.
All right.
But
Tell me what it is.
I have some things I've made in the past of hand-drawn, just like squiggles and shapes and stuff, that I have like this, and then say I'll take these. Oops. And then I'll drag them over here. But could Adobe Capture like capture all these things, or is
Sure.
that still best for a scanner? Oh,
No. I mean, as far as capturing those, they could either be captured. Well, they would be captured as shapes. So
Oh, okay.
same way.
Cool. Oh yeah, and you said it could do patterns and stuff too,
Yeah.
right? So. Nice. So yeah, and then I'll cover some of these shapes with some of this stuff. And then.
All right, so Larry's asking a question about the design challenge. Yeah, the design challenge today has to be done with InDesign. So it's not really even an option to do it in Photoshop. So if you have the 7-day trial and it has the publish online feature as part of the trial, which I'm not sure if it does, then you're all set. And that's what you're asking. Can you publish with the trial version? I'm not sure. I've not ever tried the trial version for the publish online feature. So you'll have to let us know if that works or not. And before before obviously you do all the design, just do a simple test of publish online with, just like a document with one thing in it, and then you'll know if it works or not. Tim says he sees where you're going with it, and he like it, and he likes it.
Cool.
I see where you're going with it too. I like it as well.
Yeah, and then create a clipping mask, and then I'll also lock
All
the
right, so
transparency.
again, we like to teach people when we can. So explain what you did with the clipping mask. Or path. Go back.
So the clipping mask just got rid of everything that was outside of the shape.
And how
or
did you
hides
do that?
it. Oh, I right-clicked and then create clipping mask.
All right.
And then there it goes.
And that basically use the layer on top to clip.
Mm-hmm.
Use the layer below to clip the layer on top.
Yep.
Got it.
And is that the same in Illustrator? Because sometimes I have...
It is not exactly the same.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a wonkiness with the Illustrator one.
Larry says it's looking really good. Hello, Ivan.
I don't know if I like that. Cool. Let's do, grab some other stuff.
Now, this other stuff you're grabbing, where did that come from? Was that created digitally or you scanned it in?
I scanned it in.
Okay.
I
So
have,
this was all hand-drawn, just
Mhm.
shapes. Okay.
Yep, I have one of those Sharpie paint pens
Okay.
that have like a lot of ink in them, and then I just like fill up a couple 8.5 by 11s and scan those in, and then bump up the contrast as high as it can go, adjust the levels to where it's only black and white, and then there's a way to, I don't know if I could show it here, but there's a way to select everything that's black and then pull it onto a new layer.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now go back to the other document, and just as a bonus tip, with try selecting one of those again. I just want to see if this will work. And go on your library, click the plus sign. Just want to see what will happen, and add just the graphic, not the color. Oh, it added the whole thing. I didn't know if it would do it with just the selection,
Yeah.
but if you duplicated that selection into a layer, then it would work. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Just wasn't sure how in this particular case, if it honored the selection as far as adding to the library, or just adds the whole layer no matter what. cool.
Yeah. Combine these. And merge. Break it down. Create the clipping mask. Yeah, bring that guy back. Maybe we'll have these be this color. Oops. Maybe not.
Maybe
Keep
not.
playing. We'll keep playing and see what happens.
I do that all the time. My favorite keyboard shortcut, undo. I saw that going differently in my mind. Alrighty. It's coming along nicely.
Mm-hmm. And we'll make a pattern out of this guy.
Hello, Victoria H. Lucian says the creative process of Ronnie is very interesting.
Thank you, Lucian. Yeah, I like it because it's like, it's still like I'm playing with my hands, but it's like I'm playing with my hands, but on a computer.
Right. Much more precise.
Yeah, of course. Gotta be. Oh, another one of my favorite commands you asked me yesterday, Command J on Photoshop. Definitely use it all the time.
And Command J on Photoshop, remind them again?
Duplicates
the layer.
Yeah.
Command J is love. So I see lots of keyboard shortcut suggestions starting to come through. Favorite Command T for free transform.
Oh,
Command
yes.
J for duplicate layer. Command Z for oops.
All right. What do we want to use now? Let's use these guys.
All right, before you drag that over, I just want to see if this works. All right, so hit Command J. Now hit the add to library. And just, yep,
No.
there you go.
Cool.
So if this was something you were going to use over and over and over again, then you can just have it in the library and drag it over every time you want.
I should do that.
Yeah. So you can even create a library of all these hand-drawn things, so you can always just pull them in.
That's smart.
Libraries are love. That's I couldn't imagine life without CC libraries anymore.
Is that this guy? This guy? Nope.
So Arnold's saying, what's this project for?
This? This will be either the back of a letterhead or I'm actually considering starting to like wheat paste some posters. So this might be a poster somewhere in a city near you, or promotional pieces from Instagram or anything like that. It's just fun. And it's attention grabbing, so.
Very cool.
That's not cute.
Yeah, libraries are lifesavers. I saw a question I think Abraham asked earlier was there something before libraries? And yes and no. So each program, like InDesign, for example, had a library feature. Muse even had its own library feature at first. But the problem is anything you would add to those libraries were trapped into that application, meaning you could only use the things you add in an InDesign library in InDesign. CC libraries is the first attempt from Adobe to make a universal cross application library. So the libraries work not only across the desktop applications, but as you saw with Capture, across the mobile applications as well. So even whether you add something to a library on the desktop or add something to a library in mobile, they're available to you in all your applications. So I love libraries for that reason.
Yeah, I'm gonna start using it too.
Any good tips for CC library organizing? I guess the biggest tip I can give you for that is you might think about not so much organizing the library, but what the libraries are for, because it just starts you off with a library called My Library. Of course, if you have a My Library, everything's going to end up in it, and it's going to quickly become just a ton of things. So since I don't believe there's a limit on the number of libraries you can have, you might just start creating libraries for specific purposes. So like I have a library called Adobe Stock. I have a library called Terry's Library. I have a library called logos or icons. So like when I'm doing web design or I need social media icons, I just go bring up my icon library. So I would say just more libraries is probably the best organization based on what's going to be in them. You might have, like I have libraries for specific clients or friends that I'm doing work for. So that way I know, I'm not having to search through one huge library. I just go to a specific library to get the things out of it that I need. I like everything about it except one color.
Oh no, what is it?
Oh no, I'm not going to influence your design. As long as you're happy.
Yeah, I'm happy with it, yeah.
Yeah, organizing the library by the project you're working on, another good use. How many libraries do you have? So that's a good chat question. How many CC libraries do you have? I have no idea how many I have. Let's see. I know I have a ton. I'm at 28 and still counting. $50 still going. $72.
Wow.
72 different libraries. Now, keep in mind some of these are old and can be archived or gotten rid of because I'm no longer doing some of these projects, but 72 current libraries right now.
Okay, cool. So I'm done with this.
Rachel's close, she's at 70.
Wow.
Mitch has my library.
So I'm gonna save this as something.
I like how brave you are in doing all that work without having saved it once.
I know, right? I'm real bad at that. So this can be collage 1 as a Photoshop document. And then I'll also save it as a PNG. And now, let's see what this looks like as a background.
Okay. I'm very curious.
It might be really busy, so we might just keep the business cards as colors and then use this for like back of a letterhead or something. But it could be cool too. Maximalism is a thing, so. I feel like it's gonna be impossible to read. Yep. Yeah, can't read that. So that's not gonna work. But if I were to make a...
So Anna's asking, is it better to save vectors in SVG or AI for libraries? If you're adding them from Illustrator, like just as the shape that it is, it will figure it out. In other words, you don't have to specify, like you don't have to save it in a specific format to add it to a library. So let's say, for example, you're an Illustrator and you click one of the shapes and you add it to the library. And then let's say you go to a program like Adobe Muse and you drag it onto a web page. Well, Muse doesn't work with AI files, so it's automatically going to convert it to an SVG. So I would say that's less of a concern. You don't really have to worry about that. The programs will take care of that for you.
So this is eventually going to be my letterhead.
Okay.
And all I'm doing now...
I missed it. I didn't see what happened with the background on the cart.
It was just a lot. Here,
it's too much?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't really even see what's going on. It's kind of cool as its own thing. Like maybe if I didn't have this stuff, but...
Well, you know what?
Actually, that is pretty nice, but...
That might work if those outlines were filled in with white. That might work.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not feeling it.
Okay.
But yeah. So I'll just have these stay. They'll be colored. They'll be the same colors I used in the collage, but just solid.
Wow, Alexander, 96 libraries. Yeah, it's probably time for you and I to do some housework to get rid of some of the libraries we no longer need. That's another, I should mention another advantage to the libraries is that they're also synced to your other computer. So if you have 2 computers running Creative Cloud, what you add in your library at home ends up at your library at work or your desktop versus your laptop. That's another great reason why I use libraries. So that no matter which computer I'm on, whatever libraries I have the same content in them.
All right. So now I think it's time to design some backs of these business cards. Are these some of the entries?
Yes, this is one of the entries already.
Nice. You guys are too fast.
Well, it would have been a lot longer if we would have made them actually write the stories and content.
Oh, true.
They didn't have to write anything for it, so that's why it goes a lot faster. But good design so far for the first one that I see here.
Cool. So let's get my information down.
So the question's coming up again that came up yesterday. So why you're doing this in InDesign versus Illustrator? And you answered it yesterday, but for the people that weren't here yesterday.
I feel like InDesign's really good at typesetting, and you can get like really into the nitty gritty of the type. And also I like to use InDesign for whenever I'm gonna print something. It just feels more precise and exact with the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And we learned an important tip yesterday. If you're going to have descenders on your characters, make sure the frame is long enough to, because it shows in InDesign, but it won't show in other applications. Giveaway in 15 minutes. I like that. Nicely done.
All right. I'm going to use a fake phone number for now. Just FYI.
All right, there's his phone number. You can call him for any design tips 24 hours a day. He loves it.
Love it.
Someone's getting calls right now.
I know.
Like, come on, you got to use the 555.
Oh, yeah, actually, here, I'll do that. There we go.
There we go. All right.
But you can't email me and go to my website if you
Someone's
want.
getting a bunch of calls right now.
Okay, so I believe this was Birdhold. Also, I don't know if I want to use a sans serif or a serif since my logo is going to be a sans serif. It might be nice to have some complementary stuff.
Welcome back, Lorenzo. And Daryl says the same thing. He's used InDesign for type and print layouts.
And
I can remember, at least, I mean, not so much today, but back in the day, printers used to hate getting files in Illustrator. Like they,
really?
yeah, because they preferred, page layout programs that they knew well. Because there's also so many different things you could have on different layers and hidden and turned off and so forth and so on. So they were just more used to processing files from like InDesign back in the day. It's probably not so much the case today, because now it's pretty much a PDF workflow for a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. There's so many fonts. I'm trying to even remember what all of them look like.
Now, what's this you're designing here? Which piece is this?
It's gonna be the back of the business card.
Back of the business card.
Yeah, I'm trying to just figure out what font I want to use.
Comic Sans for the win.
Yes, good choice. Kind of like the idea of mixing sans serif and serif, but I also don't know if I like these ones.
What font is that currently in?
This is Scala, and this is Celeste. Celeste is pretty nice. They're both nice. I think I might like Celeste a bit more. But I might also just stick to a sans serif.
Mm-hmm. Good afternoon, Larry in Boston, and is that Alexandria in France? Comic New, the new, more passive-aggressive Comic Sans. I like that. Slightly less awful.
Yeah, so this should not be 12 point. There we go. Maybe even 8. That's really small. Just kidding.
Lorenzo, that is a very good question.
What was
He's
the question?
asking, how do you choose the right font for your design project?
It's a lot.
As a graphic design student, I always spent hours trying to find the one that fits or the one that I like.
Yeah, I'll probably change this like 5 more times before I actually get them sent to print. But
And is it just
it's
just visual
just looking at
preference?
them. Yeah, seeing like some of the characters and the way that they R, like how this R is kind of funky and a little long. I might want like another funky R down here, or just things that pair well. They can be completely different or they can be the same, and that could be an interesting pairing depending on what you're going for.
And Miriam is asking a similar question. How do you pair fonts? Like, how are you choosing the two that will go together?
Trial and error.
Trial and error.
Yeah,
Okay.
lots of trial and error. Just looking at all your options.
I guess for my
Like, I love how weird this too is.
yeah,
Sorry,
for my
but
somewhat rudimentary understanding of how this is supposed to work is that you're really picking two that not only complement each other but contrast each other.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also depends on what kind of project it's going to be. Like, if you're working on a magazine, you want the body copy to be easily legible.
Correct.
Or if you're doing like packaging or something, you want a display type that's going to like grab people's eyes as they're walking down the aisle or something.
Good tips.
Yeah.
All right. Alexander, he mentioned yesterday that he wasn't a keyboard shortcut person, but they're asking what's your keyboard shortcut for InDesign? Like, what's the one you...
W
for preview?
Yep.
Yep.
All the time. But yeah, I think that might be like the only one I use in InDesign.
So hitting the letter W when you're not in the type tool will always take you back and forth between preview and normal.
Yes, and I make the mistake of doing it in
In
the type tool all the time. It'll be in another page on a type tool. I'm like, why is this not doing anything?
You added like 50 W's on the other page.
Yeah. Okay, so...
Now, another tip for those of you who are new in InDesign, W hides all the non-printing things when you're in preview. But it's not like print preview back in the day where you could only preview it and then you have to go back to normal to work. You can actually work in preview. You can do everything in InDesign that you can do in normal, whether you're in preview or normal. So sometimes I go to preview and just never turn it back off.
Oh, don't need that. Maybe we don't need any of these. People know what a phone number looks like, right? They'll get the idea.
I always get like super antsy about the separators. Like, I'm gonna use a dot, I'm gonna use a dash, I'm gonna use spaces.
Yeah, parentheses.
Parentheses, no parentheses.
Slashes.
Right, slashes, all of the above.
Yeah. Do I need any other information on there? I could put my Instagram, but I feel like that's a little...
You know, one of my favorite business cards I got from someone once? It only had one thing on it.
What was it?
At their person's handle. Like, so let's say it was at Tom Jones. So, in other words, that's how you contact that person everywhere, because they have the same social media handle for everything.
Oh, that's nice.
And I was like, that is so clever. I wish I could steal that, but unfortunately, some of mine are different.
All your stuff is different, yeah. Oh, that's not what I wanted.
Just one thing on the business card, at that person's name.
So this is interesting. Let's keep this. Also, well, yeah, okay. And then, since I don't delete anything, duplicate it. Is there a keyboard shortcut for that?
For which?
Duplicating a page.
A page?
Yeah.
I don't think there's one for a page.
Okay. Cool.
You can right
That
click
makes me
on
feel
it.
better.
Yeah. Well, there might be. I'm just saying
Yeah.
I don't duplicate pages often enough to know if there's a keyboard shortcut for it. Let me go check. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think there's a duplicate page shortcut. But now I'm curious. So now I have to go. I have to know now. Let's see. First, I need to know where it would be under the menu. It would be under pages. There isn't one, but you could always add one.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with keyboard shortcuts. That's why there's an editor in most of the applications, because there's more options than there are available keyboard shortcuts. So you have to give and take. And yes, Gerald, you can create one if there isn't one, but usually what that means is you're going to take it away from something else, because usually, and especially in the more mature applications like Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign, literally every keyboard shortcut's already been taken. So if you wanted it to be, just for the sake of example, Command Option D for duplicate page, chances are Command Option D is already being used for something else. So it's going to warn you, okay, you can use it for this, but it's going to now not be on this other thing.
Yeah, that's weird.
Muhammad says he likes the left side.
Cool.
As he continues to put it on the right side.
Well, I'm just playing around. Yeah, I'm not too into that. How come this is a first for me? What does this ruler mean, and how did it look like that?
Say that again.
This dashed ruler?
That looks like a locked guide, maybe? Can you move it? Can you pick it up and move it? Yeah, it's locked. That's why.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's a locked guide.
How did I make that happen? That was
probably
an
hit a
accident,
keyboard shortcut.
Oh. That's cool.
Yeah, dash usually means locked, so.
Okay. So I'm
now, for those of you who are new to InDesign, Monday's pre-show stream, live stream was an hour on how to use InDesign. So if you are interested in learning more about InDesign and want to know how to use it, I did an hour on it this past Monday. You can go watch the replay here at behance.net/live.
Okay, so we have 3 options.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do design by committee again. I might not listen this time.
You might not listen. Okay.
I didn't listen
Fair
last
enough.
time either, I guess.
Fair enough.
Okay, so there's this layout, or this one, or this one.
Go back to the second one again.
This one has the most purpose behind it, I guess, since it's the same. This is in the same spot as it is on the front. This is the layout of my current business card, so this would be more of like just a refresh. And then this is kind of just a standard business card.
My choice would be 2 or 3. I'm leaning more towards 2.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
That's just my preference.
No one in the chat's talking about it.
Well, yet.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you, Larry. Cool.
Well, thanks, Kai. I appreciate that. Larry says he likes the second. Cynthia says the second.
Cool.
Second.
Nice, and it makes the most sense, too.
I like
All
the
right.
consensus that I had the same choice.
Cool.
2 is my first choice as well.
So I'm going to get rid of these. Just call it a day. Oops.
Well, thanks, Natalia. I like that comment. Even for experienced InDesign users. Sometimes I sneak in shortcuts that either people have forgotten about or didn't know. Even for beginners.
Cool. So let's see what this looks like reversed.
Well, Jerry, we love having you in the stream, so we love that you love the streams as well. I have an idea. You're probably going to hate it.
I might not.
But I have an idea. Go back to number 2 or go back to the white background on the business card.
Mm-hmm.
What if you were to use that pattern that was too busy on the front on the right side of the card?
Just like cut it in half and put it over there? That could be kind of cool, actually.
All right. Just out of curiosity.
Yeah. Let's check it out.
Something like that.
What's half of 3.5?
Half of 3.5.
There it is.
This is where I would say, Alexa. I'm just curious.
Yeah, it could be really cool. Each one could be different, too.
Yeah.
That's fun. Ooh,
Now see,
how cool is that?
I like that.
I like
but
that
that's
too.
Just me.
I'm afraid the thing I'm weary about with that is that I actually really like this. Like a lot of this might be the thing. But having this on the back, I don't know if that should be like that. But I could maybe take off everything on the back and then have this. I don't know. We'll keep
Right.
playing. Yeah.
Just an idea.
Yeah. No, I like it.
Designed by committee. Just an idea.
But
Cynthia says, love it. Mohammed's, really? Larry's like, good call. Chris says, nice.
Okay, let's do that today, though. So now that spacing is equal. That's kind of cool.
Graham says, that's a winner. Kai says, this is it.
Nice, guys. Yes, Tim. Memphis is where it's at.
Dang, that looks awesome. All right, Christopher, you're making me feel good.
Let's see what it looks like on black.
I'm playing the role of hovering art director today. Ooh,
Yeah, but let's make the black same as this black.
I like that one even better.
And then the white, this gray. Cool. But then
W for the win.
maybe we turn it. Cool. Maybe not that.
All right, as a reminder, you have 30 minutes to, or actually 29 minutes now to submit your design contest entries. Let me go look and see how they're coming in. Not a ton yet. All right. In the meantime, I'm being told by the control room that I can see over there that it might be it just might be time for a giveaway.
Oh man.
And today's giveaway, the AI pillow. The Illustrator, one of a kind. This one in particular. All right, if you want to win this pillow, hype up the chat. Tell us why. Say, I want to win. Any of the above, and you will be randomly selected. And I have nothing to do with the selection, so you can't blame me. Here comes the hype. It's pillow time.
Cool. Yeah, so now that we did this, well, I'll wait to talk about this.
All right. My head needs it. I like that one. If I were picking just randomly, you'd win that, but it's not me. All right, Adobe Live, I've got my my window open if you're going to tell me that way, or you can tell me a different way. Who won? Oh, I'm getting the organic method. the post-it note, the organic method. We need to recycle these though. All right, the winner is, just throw it, yes. The winner is Terrence Stone. Terrence Stone. That's what's on the paper. Terrence Stone, congratulations.
Yay, Terry. All right.
Yeah,
Probably
no,
doesn't go in.
I
Oh, you're
know.
Terry.
I'm Terry. Yeah, that's me. I won, but no. Congrats, Terrence Stone. That came from like 50 feet away. Like, it was hand delivered.
Cool.
Well, I'm glad I was able to influence your.
Yeah, no, this is
rebranding.
awesome. Yeah.
That helped.
Yeah, I think I might totally ditch this, but that's okay because this is pretty cool.
All right.
Yeah, so now I'm gonna work on the letterhead.
Larry is asking, can I give away another? I could, but then they get mad at me, so I won't. There will be another one on the second segment and the third segment today. So you have 2 more chances to win today. All right, so what part is this?
The
This is
letterhead. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking I'll do a couple options, but for this first one, I'll probably keep this down here. So that's where it is on the business card.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm trying to think. There has to be some kind of anchor up here, but we'll figure that out.
Now, just another tip for those of you who might be doing this. If he's doing this in InDesign, so it's easy because you just make multiple pages, one for the business card, one for the letterhead, one for the envelope, or whatever else. And those pages can be different sizes in InDesign, which is pretty cool. In Illustrator or Photoshop, if you were doing this, you would use the artboard feature in both of those programs to create the different pages or different artboards for the different pieces that you're making. So now you have your choice of different ways to do it. Whereas before, Photoshop and Illustrator were limited to the one page, and you really had to come to something like InDesign to do this or make multiple documents. Larry, this particular stream ends in 53 minutes. So actually more like 47 minutes. This is 5 minutes before the hour, something like that. So that's how much more time you have. But the design challenge, though, is going to end in 23 minutes. So that will be the cutoff. And yes, Stephanie, he did cover why he uses InDesign to do this versus Illustrator. And once again,
it's because you can really finagle with the type in InDesign. In my opinion, you can. Although Illustrator's getting pretty good at it.
Illustrator's gotten a lot better at it.
You could just get really precise with it, and there's a million menus just for the type where you can get everything exactly right. And also keep it consistent with character styles and paragraph styles. And
right.
Stuff like
so
that.
InDesign's had a 10 plus year head start on all the typographic controls that Illustrator and Photoshop have only gotten in recent years. So if you were doing this for a while, you would always go to InDesign for better typography. But again, today, it's not so much the case because Illustrator and Photoshop have caught up in most ways. No problem, Stephanie. I also find InDesign just faster for laying out multiple objects because in both Photoshop and Illustrator, they can become bogged down when you have literally dozens of things that you're moving around. Not to say that they would get slow, but just InDesign will be faster.
So it's kind of interesting. Maybe we'll keep that. And then try another one.
Anita, it's just a nicer app. I would go that far. It's just different. When I was doing work for a nonprofit that I started, I was in InDesign probably most of the time. But now, today, since I'm not doing that kind of work anymore, I'm in Photoshop and Lightroom most of the time. Good question. So this is, and you just asked actually one of the benefits of using InDesign. So Amaria, if I'm saying that correctly, is asking, is there some way to make something universal on all the pages, like the logo? Yes, that's what the master pages are for. So if he wanted that logo in the same exact spot on every page, he would put it on the master page one time, and then it appears on all the other pages automatically. So that actually is an InDesign advantage. Which app is this? Adobe InDesign CC. Yep, master pages for the win. Tina, pillow please. If you come back in the second segment, you'll have a shot at it. We already gave away the one for this segment. Charles is agreeing with you and saying he works for a printing company, and the majority of their graphic designer or as a graphic designer, the majority of their work is done in the type work is done in InDesign. Mm-hmm. What shortcut lets you add columns? Was there a shortcut?
I didn't,
what did you do?
I didn't use a shortcut.
I just did.
I go to layout and then margins and columns and then.
Okay, so the margins and columns feature lets you add them after the fact, or you can add them as you're creating the document. How do you keep the logo at the top of a scrolling page? In InDesign, technically there wouldn't be a scrolling page because InDesign is fixed page layouts. So just putting it at the top of the master page would keep it at the top of all the pages. Frank's like, what are you doing right now?
Me? I'm trying to get the spacing of the business card exactly the same as on the letterhead. So I just copied it. I'll just do it again real quick. Copied it and then got rid of the background. So the spacing's the same. And then I took it up here.
You cheated.
Yeah, I guess. And then
I love it when people say that. You cheated.
Oh,
no, I just did it a different way.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, if you're talking about reflowable EPUBs, that's a different story. And there are anchored ways of doing it. It's not fun because reflowable is just not fun for keeping things in one place. Hence the nature of reflowable.
Oops.
So Claude is asking a question, which that's an easy answer. So if the majority of type design is in InDesign and vectors in Illustrator, which would you use to amalgamate everything? InDesign, because it is the page layout application. So whether I was doing my type in InDesign or not, I would use InDesign to pull in all my Illustrator work, all my Photoshop work, and any layout work that I'm doing in InDesign and put it all in InDesign. That's like its main purpose. That's what it's for. And I love the fact that you can bring in those native AI files and PSD files without having to save them as EPS or save them as JPEGs or any other format. So if you work a lot in Photoshop and you're always like cutting maybe people out of the background and you don't have to use any clipping masks or anything like that, you just save that layer and place that file right in InDesign.
Okay, cool.
So Daryl's asking, do people still collect the projects for printers or simply send PDFs? Usually I do both because that way then they got everything. They've got the PDF to print from, and if something's wrong, then they'd have the collected project as well. So Karen's asking, what's the best way to use the InDesign templates? Is it better to use the master pages? I tend to just copy something from previous and work from there, but not sure if that's the best way.
That's what I do too.
All right, and so you copy from previous and just use it. Yeah. It really depends on what you're trying to do. So again, master pages are for the things you want to replicate across multiple pages. And for the templates, a lot of things are on the master pages. So if you're having a problem clicking on something or moving something on a template, go check the master page. That's usually where it is. The design challenge, Larry, is due in 15 minutes. Yeah, if you have many pages, it is better to use master pages for the things that you want to be consistent across those pages. And Dana brings up a good point, because then you only have to update it once, and it updates it across all the pages.
All right.
Yes, Frank, if you click on the challenge tab above the chat, you will see what the contest was, or is. And you'll have another shot at it for the second and third stream if it's too late for you to get into this one. Tamika, you have about 14 minutes we'll announce the winner for the design challenge for this segment. Again, you'll have 2 more chances for the next 2 segments of the day. And the winner will win 1 year of Creative Cloud.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
What's the fake name of a company?
Fake name of a company, fakecompany.com.
Fakecompany.com.
The fakers.
Let's make it really bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
We fake stuff all day long. We're the best at faking.
What's today's date? 02,
Today is 21st.
17.
Evil Inc. Evil Corp. Yep, E Corp.
Okay, now I'm gonna go to my favorite random text filler, which is watch out for snakes. Wait, at least I think that's what it's called. There we go. Paragraph.
All right, those entries are starting to come in. Quote of the day, let's make it really bad. Okay. couple of entries that are not loading. That's not good.
No.
11 minutes to submit your entries. All right, so this is just testing for the letterhead?
Yeah, just a fake letter to make me see what they could look like, and then I'll edit the hierarchy and stuff of the person that this would end up going to and everything.
10 minutes for the design comp. There we go. Now they load it. Good. Good, good, good.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep. Don't look over.
Oh, my bad.
Don't look over. All right. Hang tight for 1 second.
I'm gonna step in for Terry in a sec. So I'm gonna introduce myself. I'm actually Francisco. I kind of run the stream, and yeah, it's my job to kind of make these guys look good. But yeah, what's going on here, Ronnie?
Making the letterhead.
The letterhead.
Trying to create some hierarchy between who this would go to and the rest of the body. But yeah.
Cool. So I don't know much about InDesign. Or are you doing? Yeah, you're doing InDesign. So what are these lines that you're using right here?
That's the grid that I made.
There's
There are a whole
Terry.
bunch of
Okay.
columns
Short little
and stuff.
cameo. I'm gonna give it over to Terry now.
All right. So still on the letterhead.
Yeah, almost wrapping it up.
And that's just basically so you can see what it would look like if you were to put something on it like a letter.
Yes.
I'm back, Lucian. Paul Tranny's in the house. What's up, Paul? "10 seconds of fame."
Cool. Yeah, let's make my name big too.
Now, if you were to actually design a letter on, or use your own letterhead, what is there a particular font you use just for this?
Yeah, I was trying to find one, but it was taking too long. I was trying to look for a serif that had a light text weight to it, but I could not find any of mine that have that. But yeah, I would try to use a serif probably because it's typically easier to read. But yeah, I'd probably spend multiple days, maybe even weeks, trying to find the right font just for the letterhead. But
And would this both be for digital and print, or
Yeah.
just for digital?
Probably even more
Like, are you
digital than
sending?
print.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you
I
sending
haven't
too many
sent any letters.
via print these
Yeah.
days?
Yeah, but I use my letterhead all the time. Anytime I'm doing like an invoice or sending a cover letter for something, or my resume is usually laid out on my letterhead. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Cool. Well, I think that's done with that. Oh, I can throw in my signature too.
Maybe we'll have a future design challenge that design new socks. Not today.
Bam.
A nice touch.
Yeah. Makes it more real.
Another good use for libraries. Things like that, so you need to pull in all the time.
True.
Add your signature to your library, that way you can pull it in anytime you need it.
Cool. Oh, I haven't even saved any of this yet.
You're so like me in that regard. Like I'm quitting for the day. It's like, you haven't saved this all day long. Oops.
Yeah.
And of course, a crash is your best teacher. But even today,
Yeah.
you know,
Hopefully that doesn't happen too much.
Yeah, InDesign, that was also one of its strengths from day one, is that it had great document recovery. So even if the document had never been saved and you got a crash, most likely it would still be there when you relaunched.
Cool. So what to do now? What else could I design?
So you got the, was there an envelope?
Not yet.
Okay. So you got the business card, you got the letterhead, natural extension of that would be an envelope if you need to do something, or, you know, non-digital.
What size is an envelope?
It is, oh God.
10 envelope.
Number 10 envelope is like 4 by 9,
It's
something
like,
like that.
I just designed one the other day and I can't remember.
I'm curious.
9.5 by 4.125.
I knew there was a 9 and a 4 involved. Didn't remember the exact.
Cool.
And so you just added that page to the existing InDesign document, or you created a new one?
I created a new one.
Okay.
You said the tip earlier of how to make a different size page.
Right. So if you
Yeah.
go, hang on.
Okay.
I gotta remind myself how I did that last time. If I need to add a new page and have that page, I remember now. It's the page tool. Okay. So like just to show the tip, go to your other document, add a new page, and however you do it.
Oh, that's a layer. Page.
Pages. Yep. All right. Go to that blank page and then switch to this icon right
This
there.
guy?
Yep. And then I can set the size up here.
Oh. Okay.
So on the page tool, you can then change. Once you're on the page tool, you can change the size of the page that you added in InDesign.
I really need to start doing this. That will make my life so much easier.
So now the envelope and letterhead in the same document.
Cool. So I could even do this with my business cards
Right.
too.
So the business card can be in the same document as well.
Nice.
Which is great when you, Chantel's in the house. Hey, Chantel. Chantel's up next.
So I won't need this information for my envelope. So let's make up another fake address.
FakeStreet.com.
Yeah. 69.
Fake Avenue.
Yeah. No, let's not do that. Let's say sweet.
Yeah, multiple or different page sizes was like that opened up a huge door for me with InDesign, because it was, you know, before you would have to make all the separate documents for the different layouts, and once they changed that, it just made InDesign that much better. Well, thanks, Daryl, for watching my videos. And Aaron, I'm glad you liked the tip. And Tim has given us a link to fakenamegenerator.com.
Oh.
I gotta go check that site. Hey,
Yeah.
that sounds like too much fun.
So that tip you gave me yesterday on option left and right for kerning.
Yep.
Incredible. I've been using it nonstop since then.
I'm glad I could help.
Yeah.
Although I can't, that keyboard shortcut has been around since like the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a real site. You disappointed me, Tim. Is it a real site? It didn't load. Now I'm disappointed. That should be a real site. Fake name generator. Yeah, there it is. It is a real site. Fakenamegenerator.com. Generate a random name. All right, I got to it. Random gender, random country. Oh, I see. But will it give us a different company? Employment, yep, company Omnitech. My question though is are these like, if that fake company is that a company, like have they verified that that company doesn't exist?
It probably exists. Everything's already taken.
Yeah, because I can imagine that there is no Omnitech out there somewhere. All right, back to our contest. It is past time. All right.
Oh, cool. Are we doing this now?
We're going to do this now. I need to verify. There aren't that many that I need to check. I just need to make sure I got them all. I think I did. There's only 6, and I have 6. Let me make sure I have 6 different ones. I have 6 different ones. All right. No peeking.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. All right.
I just looked at all of them.
Okay, it's easy enough to do. So, did you pick a winner yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right. So let's go through them. Here we go. Let's go to the design challenge. All right, here's our first entry, design fine. And again, these are multiple pages up to 4.
And what is this a magazine about?
This is a magazine about design, right?
Yeah.
As Gus doesn't look at me. A magazine about design, right? Graphic design, yeah. Okay.
Cool.
All right, so that's first entry. Or not first entry, but first one we're looking at.
Nice.
I'm not going to say anything to influence your decision. All right.
Did they come up with these names and stuff? That's nice.
Yeah. Oh,
This is nice.
so they were given an InDesign template to work with,
And then
they added in all their own design stuff.
Okay. Nice.
I like incorporating the album covers from yesterday. That was cool. "14 pages. Wow, you
Oh,
put some
yeah,
work
that's
into
a
that
big
one.
Nice hierarchy.
Wait, what's that? What do you like
The
about this?
hierarchy is really nice. The title is very bold, and then I can't read what it says under that, but
Low carb, high fat diets,
Yeah.
recipes.
I like the colors. Very calming.
All right. So you've got this one.
Mm-hmm.
You've got this one. If we go back to page 1. You've got this one. Going back to page 1.
Oh, that's nice.
You've got this one, which is already on page 8. Let's go back to page 1. You've got this one. Quickly get back to page 1. Yes, another shortcut probably to get back to page 1, but gives us the ability to go back through them again.
Yeah, the system on the bottom of those pages is nice too.
Mm-hmm. All right. Do you have choice?
It's this one.
This one?
Yes.
Why did I know you were going to say that?
Because it's nice.
'Cause this, you know why I knew this was going to be your winner? Because you spent more time acknowledging things in this particular entry. Like, you really like this one.
I do.
Yeah.
It's nice. The colors are nice. The typography is nice.
And
Grid
so
system.
the diet one, you won. So if we can know whose this was. Anita Lima, congratulations.
Very nice.
They will message you in a moment. Congratulations on winning the design challenge for the first segment of the day, and you will win you have won 1 year of Creative Cloud.
Cool.
All right.
All right. So back
Cool.
to this.
Back to the multi-page InDesign document now that you know you can do multiple sizes.
Incredible. So cool. Oops. I always get these confused. I always think this is pages, and then it's not.
Pages versus layers.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I know why. Because let me go back to your pages panel again.
Mm-hmm.
You display your pages. Your icons are very small, so that's why they look like layers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another tip. In most of the applications, you can change the thumbnail size for whether it's layers or pages or whatever. So like I prefer bigger thumbnails for pages, smaller thumbnails for layers. Yes, Anita, you can believe it. It is real. You did win. You're welcome. Great entries all across the board. I really like the design innated. That was like my favorite.
Yeah, that one was really nice.
I just like the use of the different colors and things on that one. But anyway, I didn't get to pick the winner.
So you do the back of the envelope now. I have two options for the front. I haven't decided yet.
All right, let me see the other one again.
Okay, so this one kind of
Or-
standard,
yep.
and then this one's more in line with like the business card and stuff, but
That
it's
would
still
be- that
pretty
would be my
standard.
favorite.
Yeah. It's always good to have options.
Always.
Always good to have your website on envelope.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at the chat. People are checking out, discovered they can check out each other's Behance portfolios by clicking on the thumbnails in the chat. Yeah, I got some follows the other day from mine. It's like, oh, well, I guess that
Nice.
was from the stream. That was nice.
Cool. So don't need that anymore. So I'm gonna put my business cards in here too, just to keep it all
Okay.
in one document. So that was this, and then this one.
Yep, that one. And then change the size of the page to, if you're doing a standard business card, 3.5 inches wide, 2 inches tall.
Yeah. Just copy these. These look great. Good suggestion on the.
Well, it's your design.
I know, but I really like it.
You sound like you're surprised by your own work.
I am
Like,
all the
these look
time. I'm
great.
always surprised by
They're
mine.
yours. You did them. So Lindsay, the easiest way to delete a whole page in InDesign is either from the Pages panel, just drag the page to the trash, or click the page and click the trash icon at the bottom, or you can go in the layout menu, and under the layout menu there is delete pages. Layout, pages, delete pages. No problem, Lindsay. And like I said earlier in the stream, I did a stream on Monday, and we're going to start doing this every Monday before the 3-day stream, kind of a primer or pre-show to get people up to speed for the applications that are going to be shown that week. So I did an hour on InDesign on Monday. You can check out if you're new to InDesign. You can go ahead and watch that replay. I completely forgot about those. So those are the back of the cards, right?
Yeah. And I'm thinking maybe if I were to do these on the front side, maybe having just one of the solid colors and then embossing these onto the back.
Mm-hmm.
That could be kind of cool.
Now, would you leave the background white, or pick one of your
Pick
colors
one of
for
the
the colors? Yeah,
colors,
for the
yeah.
background. Okay.
Probably be a very expensive print job.
And
but
Arnold's
that's
asking, are all
okay.
these videos on YouTube or Behance? Yes, they're on both, actually.
Cool.
Well,
So-
Ethan, I'm glad you're having a much more rewarding experience watching it here on Behance as opposed to YouTube. We're glad to have you. Got about 13 minutes left.
Cool.
And Chantel will be up next, hosted by Kathleen. You guys excited over there? Saw a thumbs up. You just asked the question? Oh, I missed it. Oh, yeah, there you go. When you duplicate
Oh
a
wait,
spread in
Gabby.
InDesign,
She goes to my old school. Hi, Gabby.
Spread in InDesign, is there a way to make it show up after the spread you just copied? Yeah, you can drag the order of the spreads around in the Pages panel. Correct. I love it when you guys answer your own questions. That's awesome. Oh, I see what you're saying. So for a long document, instead of duplicating and having to go to the end, you want it to be right after the one you just copied. Got it. Option drag, that's probably better.
Cool. So these won't end up looking like this, but I just wanted something there.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll save this as stationery.
So yeah, this segment will end at about 12 minutes, but don't go anywhere because 5 minutes after that, Chantel will be up to continue with part 2 of her.
Oh, look, another
stream.
Philly You girl. Hey, Lauren.
Your fan base has found you.
Yeah. So, I guess I could do, I don't know if I'm totally sold on this layout. So let's do another one of these. Or I could play around with more of these too. No, I'll do this.
Now, would you incorporate that design into the letterhead, maybe like a strip down the side?
I could. I was thinking I'd have it on the back of the letterhead.
Oh, okay.
So might not need to be on the
That's
front.
expensive letterhead.
I know. That's why.
But if it's digital, then it doesn't cost
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, so if you're only printing it like once every 9 months,
Yeah.
then it wouldn't be too bad. Okay, actually. This isn't half bad like that.
Now, I noticed your business card or letterhead don't include any social media links. Is that not your thing?
Yeah, well, I didn't have social media for my design stuff just until relatively recently. So I haven't had it on my business card. I could add it. I don't really know how I would add it because I don't really like saying phone and then having the number and then like email having the thing. Because I feel like for Instagram, I'd have to have like Instagram, but there's probably a more creative way to do it than that.
Okay.
But
We could also maybe use the icon,
yeah,
and that way because people mostly know what the icons are these days.
yeah.
That's one way. And if your handle's the same across social media channels, then you could just be at whatever you are.
So that's kind of cool. A little different. The logo on the bottom.
Don't forget the paste in place shortcut.
I don't know if I know that one.
Well, you know how when you copy something and then paste it, it usually offsets it from where you pasted it? There's a
yeah,
paste
yeah.
in place that pastes it exactly in the same spot, which is handy for going to the next page and pasting.
Yeah.
Frank's asking, do these live streams happen often? Weekly. Unless you don't consider that often. But yes, weekly. They're often. So every week there's a different theme. This week is graphic design. Next week is... Gus? Next week's illustration. And then after that, mobile illustration.
Cool. Cool. Options, set my signature to these.
So Chantel's up next. And then I'll be back later with Annie Hall. And good point. If you go up to the top where it says now playing, to the right of that is the schedule, so you can always see what's coming up next.
Are we having any preferences on which letterhead?
All right, let me see them again.
So there's this one. Not sure how I feel about all the text being towards the top. This one, which kind of coincides with the way the envelope was laid out. But it didn't actually because we went with the other one. So just
Okay.
kidding. Don't listen to that.
All right.
It could coincide, but yeah. And then there's this one, which is kind of just standard.
So 1, 2, and 3. I would say 3 is my favorite.
Yeah. Cool. I'm kind of liking 1.
It is your letterhead.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
allowed.
yeah.
You're allowed to like the one you want to use.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Oh, let's add this color to everything too.
Clint likes 2.
Nice.
Did I just see you use a keyboard shortcut for
I
send to back?
I did. Yeah, send to back.
Oh, look at you.
I don't even know what it is off the top of my head. I just know it by like my
By where your
fingers.
fingers are on
Yeah.
the keyboard.
So command and whatever that key
Bracket.
is. Bracket.
Left bracket key.
Yeah.
Send to back.
Yep. And command V, command C. I use those too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Command or Control left bracket. Ronnie's breaking out of his comfort zone. I think he's got a couple closet keyboard shortcuts that he just knows by
it's like,
reflex.
Yep, totally.
And we will be live with Chantel in 10 minutes. So that means we have 5 minutes.
Cool.
Alexandria says they like the gray.
Me too.
It's more like it's a tan or taupe to me.
Yeah. I just found this really nice paper that is pretty close to this color.
Mhm.
I could definitely use some of that. Is this the right color? It is.
Now, in addition to stacking order, like send to back, send, bring forward, bring to front, send backward, there's also layers. So InDesign has layers, Illustrator has layers, of course Photoshop has layers. So you can always arrange things to be on the back layer by just moving it down, and that way it's always on the back. And that might be another option for your master page if you're like using a color that you always want to be below everything else. Put that on a layer below everything else on the master page, and now it's the background for everything.
Cool. So thinking tomorrow I might, if it's not too I don't know, self-absorbed, work on my resume so everyone can see all my stuff. But it'd be a good example of like showing how to set up a system and like hierarchy and like page layout.
I don't think anyone will complain about tips and tricks on how they can better their resumes.
Yeah.
So
I
especially
just don't want to seem like I'm gloating or anything with using my resume. But
No, I don't think people think you're gloating, especially if you're offering good tips on how they can better their resumes.
okay, cool. Sweet. So let's see here.
2 more minutes,
Don't need these.
especially a design resume.
Yeah, they're important. Very much important. Now I'm just like saving all my work, make sure I have everything.
Yes, save, save,
Today.
save. Richard says, let's see the resume, Ronnie. Show it off.
I can show the one I have
No,
now.
I mean tomorrow.
but- oh,
Tomorrow,
okay.
yeah, tomorrow. Give them something to come back for.
Yeah. Look at all this work we've done so far.
Yeah,
Incredible.
dude, you've been knocking it out.
Yeah. That's already saved. Oops.
It was so funny. The
This thing?
No, what was the other one you did? Where you like this one?
Yeah. Oops. Yeah.
Annie was working on something similar to that.
I saw that.
Oh, you
yeah,
saw it?
Yeah, I saw on her
Did you
Behance.
guys,
that
did you
it's
guys
really
meet
similar.
or something?
No, just
Or
soul
did
sisters,
you
I
give it
guess.
for
I don't
her
know.
Behance for inspiration?
Cool.
All right, got about a minute and a half left.
I don't know what to leave on. Just look at this, I guess. I think I'm gonna go with this one.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we got a lot done today. You got your business card finalized or in the final stages of it.
Working on it, yeah.
Letterhead,
Yep.
envelope concepts.
Mm-hmm.
Your whole capture thing with the shapes
That
and
was
the
awesome.
colors and all that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Good
that was
job.
fun. Yeah. And it's in these libraries too.
And that was your
right?
first time using Capture.
ever. Yeah.
And now you're starting to become a library fan.
Yeah, huge library fan. This thing is cool. Let me actually put that there. Cool. And look, here they are.
Very cool. All right, in our last minute left, I want to just thank everyone for being here today. We'll be back with Ronnie again tomorrow. Chantel's up next in about 6 minutes. And then I'll be back later at 1 p.m. Pacific time with Annie, and we'll continue on her day 2. So, great job, Ronnie.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing how you wrap this up tomorrow.
Yeah, me too.
And with that said, everyone, stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. In about less than 6 minutes, we will see Chantel come up and continue to rock her designs as well. All right.
Thanks, guys.
So with that said, thanks, everybody. Catch you later. Bye.